Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Labor and Economic Development Show, where it is our job to introduce and address the issues that support the folks that let us pay the bills for the things that we want to pay for in the budget. My co-host today is Councilwoman Crystal Bast. This is the regular meeting of the Labor and Economic Development Committee. It is 3:05, and I am Ben Reno-Weber, Committee Chair. This meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61826 and Council Rule 5A. I am joined by Councilman Bat-Shawn, Councilman Benson, Councilwoman Purvis, Councilman Owen, Councilman Herndon, and online we have the Dr. Councilwoman Paula McCraney. And Councilman Syme, who is hiding in the corner. All right, first item on the agenda, Madam Clerk, do you mind reading the title?
Item 1R-047-25, a resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following sole source contract for the zoo concerning parts, maintenance, repair, and service for the zoo's antique conservation carousel, Carousels and Carvings, Inc., $200,000, read in full.
Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Thank you. Okay. We have joining us virtually Stephanie Moore from the Louisville Zoo to speak to this item.
Thank you, Councilman. Stephanie Moore with the Louisville Zoo. I apologize for appearing virtually. I had an appointment out of the office this afternoon. Carousels and Carvings is one of less than a handful of companies that work on antique carousels in the United States. They're located in Ohio, and we utilize them for the routine maintenance and repair of our historic over 100-year-old, 105-year-old carousel at the zoo. We have, over the course of the past 10 or so years, been working on replacing the horses that were on the carousel with animals that are in our conservation program and animals that are representative of our zoo. This contract will allow for us to purchase a few replacement animals that are hand carved out of wood, and also just for the ongoing repair and upkeep of the carousel.
Thank you so much. Is there any further discussion? No. All right. Seeing none, this is an item that requires a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. This item will be sent to the consent calendar based upon unanimous approval of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my kids have spent many a happy hour on that carousel. As someone who is oversized on many of those animals, I appreciate you getting that maintenance for all of our preservation.
Thank you.
She's also on item 5, and she has.
Gotcha. Okay. Ms. Moore, we can go ahead and move item 5 up to be the next item on the agenda, if that would be helpful to you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay. Madam Clerk, do you mind reading item 5?
Item 5, a resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following non-competitively negotiated professional service contract for the Louisville Zoological Gardens for its mentor internship program for Jefferson Community Technical College students. Jefferson Community and Technical College, $140,000, read in full.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Ms. Moore?
As this is an agreement with the JCTC, we've actually had this program in place, I believe, for well over 20 years, but it allows for students attending JCTC to come on site to the zoo, work in 2 areas of our zoo, the Boma African petting exhibit area, and the Wallaby Walkabout. So they get experience working with the animals and really a lot of good hands-on experience working with guests and interpreting the animals, their conservation story, and interpreting kind of the mission of the zoo to the guests while they're there. It's been a very successful partnership. It's over 20 years that we've been working with them, and we look forward to continuing if the council approves.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Councilman Owen.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question. It's a really cool program. I didn't really know about it. How many students do you generally have in each class or in each year?
It varies. I think usually the top number we'll get over a course of, a school year would be about 10. And just depending on their program and their schedule is when they're out able to work at the zoo.
It's great. Sounds like a great program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Doctor.
thank you. I would like to know how did the partnership with JCTC start, and do you collaborate with any other schools in town?
I did not give you that background on how this originally came to be. It predates my time. But I can get you in contact with Steve Taylor, who is our other Assistant Director of Conservation, Education, and Collections, and who was there when this partnership started and has worked with them certainly a lot longer than I have. We do have other programs, not one as hands-on as this with another college or university locally, not to my knowledge, but we're constantly partnering with University of Louisville, Bellarmine, or other area schools, Center College, just on different conservation efforts or research programs that we're partnering with.
Okay, it's not necessary for you to put me in contact, but if you could have someone just send me some information, I would love that.
Not a problem.
On
We
the
can certainly do
background.
that. Not a
Thank
problem.
you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an item that requires a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, by unanimous approval, this item will be sent to the consent calendar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we appreciate your presence here.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please read item 2?
Item 2, a resolution approving the granting of local incentives to eBlue Solutions, Inc. and any subsequent assignees or approved affiliates thereof pursuant to KRS Chapter 154, Subchapter 32, read in full.
Do it.
Motion.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Ms. Sarkar, will you please introduce yourself for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Sakar, and I'm the Director of Business Retention and Expansion for the Louisville Economic Development Alliance.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. eBlue Solutions is a healthcare technology company that works with specialty medical practices to get patients authorized and approved medications. The company created an online portal for managing data, mitigating risk, improving staff efficiency to reduce the burden of training new staff members. Located at 325 West Main Street in downtown Louisville in District 4, eBlue is committed to expanding its operations in the addition of 82 new jobs with an average hourly wage of $36 an hour and a capital investment of $683,920. The company is requesting the Kentucky Business Investment Act participation at 1% of the local occupational wage assessment and meets all the requirements and compliance standards as established and monitored by the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. Louisville Metro Government and the Louisville Economic Development Alliance are supportive of this request for KBI participation and look forward to its approval. Thank you.
Councilwoman Purvis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. You said you're looking to hire 82 more people. Just want to know how many do you currently employ?
So it would be a total of 151 new jobs.
Okay, so this is a big deal.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And these are all going to be headquartered in downtown Louisville?
Waterfront Plaza.
I don't think anyone is sad about that. Any further discussion? Excellent. This is a resolution requiring a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? By unanimous approval of this committee, this item will be sent to the consent calendar. Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is item number 3, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to accept $21,000 of funding from the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives to be administered by the Office of Records Compliance, read in full.
Motion.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded. Andrew, I think you're the sponsor of this. Is there anyone here to speak to it? Great.
Hi, I'm Robin Dury, Executive Director of Records Management and Archives.
The floor is yours.
Okay. The grant will be used to fix mold on the books. They were damaged back in 2000. There was a flood at Memorial Auditorium, and we don't want mold in the archives as it can infect the other records. And this will repair 2 books.
Excellent. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we are all unanimously against mold. This is an item requiring a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say yuck. Seeing none, this is an item that will move on to the consent calendar by unanimous approval of this committee. The next item on the agenda is item number 4. Madam Clerk.
A resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following sole source contract for public works and assets concerning split bases for large decorative light poles located throughout Louisville Metro Central Business District, Visco, Inc., $85,000, read in full.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Here to speak to this?
Hi, my name is Oshin Keen. I'm the Electrical Maintenance Manager for the Public Works Division.
The floor is yours.
Excuse me. Yeah, the poles, the light poles and traffic signal poles that were installed approximately 20 years ago have deteriorated over time. The only company that makes the bases for these poles is the Visco company, and we have appropriated funds for the replacement. We need the approval for the single source contract.
If that's the only one. Excellent. Councilman Herndon.
Thank you, sir. This is in my district, and these have been missing for a long time. We've looked at other options. When I was at the Downtown Partnership, we attempted to do a 3D version, I believe, at U of L. Nothing has worked, and these have been missing for quite a long time. If you happen to see some plastic garbage cans turned over around the base of poles and painted black, they've been there for quite a while downtown, so this will improve that immensely. I fully support getting these replaced finally.
Excellent. Councilman Batchon.
Thank you. I think Councilman Herndon kind of answered what I was going to ask. So there's no other companies that can do light poles at a
There's
modern,
other
efficient rate?
companies that do similar products, but the bases themselves are unique to these poles. If we were to try to replace with a different product, we would have to replace the entire infrastructure of the intersection. So our most cost-effective way to continue is just to get these replacement bases.
And what's, out of curiosity, what's one of these one base replacement cost?
Depending on the style, it can be anything from about, I think, $1,200 to $3,000 per base.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Thank you. For all of the entrepreneurs who are raptly watching Metro TV, this is exactly the kind of opportunity that exists in our economy right now to build specialized things. We would love to see more companies like this in Louisville. Any further discussion? Councilman Owen?
Just using simple math, then, if they're 1,200 to 3,000, if we're asking for 85,000, then we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 20-ish of these.
We have 30 total that need to be replaced, yes.
And that will replace all the ones that are missing and get us to where we need to be, right, Councilman Herndon?
I hope so. Although they're on the large corner poles, so they get hit a lot, and that's the problem. Things on the corners are vulnerable to everything, so that's why they've been hit that much and missing that many. So, is that going to get us to the full?
Correct, yes. So we'll get all of them replaced and hopefully afford us a couple of extras for incidents such as.
Same thing with garbage cans that are close to the corners. They sometimes don't last very long. So.
That was my follow-up question, that we were going to get a few extras to replace. So that's great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And Councilman Benson has offered to train any JCPS students interested in welding and how to be a part of this. So, all right, any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an item that requires a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, this is an item that will be moved to the consent calendar with the unanimous approval of this committee. Thank you. Appreciate your time. We did item 5. The next item on the agenda is item 6. Madam Clerk.
A resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following sole source contract for Louisville Metro Revenue Commission for tax processing services, Fast Enterprises LLC, $2,209.60. Read in full.
Motion.
So moved and seconded. Ms. Dunn.
Good afternoon, Angela Dunn, Chief Financial Officer with OMB and Revenue Commission. The contract before you is a contract that will include the GenTax software maintenance, which includes licensing, compliance updates, service packs, et cetera, professional services, the fast hosting services, which most importantly allows for IRS Publication 1075 compliant cloud hosting is managed as part of this contract. Also includes production, test, training environments, and backup infrastructure. It also provides for the fast centralized tech and fast monitoring service, which assists us with nightly monitoring of batch processing. And it also provides that IRS compliance support where FAST assumes responsibility for addressing any IRS audit findings that are found in the hosted environment. So that's what's included in this contract. FAST is, as you know, they own the GenTax software. It's a proprietary software that is based on FAST Core, and FAST is the only entity licensed to maintain it.
Well, that answers my question. Is there any discussion on this? Councilwoman Bast.
I'm okay with renewing the contract and the amounts. I was just kind of curious about the time period. It's being allotted for, it doesn't have an approved budget yet, so I didn't know if you could kind
So
of
it begins
speak on-
July 1. The budget is included in the budget that's been presented to the council for the Metro Revenue Commission.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Owen.
Thank you, Chair. So at one of the budget hearings the other day, somebody asked a specific question about, do you have people at OMB or somewhere else within Metro government who are kind of looking at all of our software contracts and determining, and they explained that they in fact do have people that do that. Can you just talk to that a little bit? Because I think it's important for people to hear that we do have people that are looking at these contracts and making sure we're getting the best bang for our buck.
Absolutely. Through the negotiation phase of this contract with Fast Enterprises, our subject matter experts at the Revenue Commission, those who work in the system daily, understand the requirements of Pub 1075 and the operational needs of the agency. We're involved in reviewing that contract, along with those at MTS. Metro Technology Services always avails itself to any questions that we may have in terms of, things that are included in the contract, and then also we always have that legal review as well. So there's a whole host of individuals that review this contract along with other software contracts that are out there.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure people knew that we do have people who are looking at these things and that we're not asleep at the wheel when it comes to signing these contracts.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Again, a call out to any of the entrepreneurs watching this raptly at home. Wow, the only people able to maintain this contract. Wouldn't it be neat for somebody local to leverage some, AI and figure out how to come in below $2 million? I feel like somebody in Louisville should figure this out. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an item that requires a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, this will move on to the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, or Madam Clerk, the next item on the agenda is item number 8.
Seven.
No, 7, sorry.
A resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following sole source contract for the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, for consulting services to assist analyzing and reporting costs, Public Consulting Group LLC, $360,000, read in full.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Dunn, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the contract with Public Consulting Group, this contract will work with Metro government to help us start up our participation in the ASPP, which is a Medicaid supplemental funding program. I see you smiling, Chair. I figured you might like this. For public ground ambulance providers in Kentucky, traditional Medicaid payments often fall short of covering the true cost of emergency transport, and therefore this program, and that's often covering less than 30%. ASPP addresses this by offering a cost-based reimbursement using local funds matched with federal dollars. It does not replace or reduce funding from House Bill 8, which is the Ambulance Provider Assessment Program. And this is a fairly new program that was made available to Metro in March of 2025. The Kentucky General Assembly passed House Bill 152, which, among other things, expanded the eligibility to include consolidated local governments, which is Metro. So that's why this is a brand-new opportunity for us.
Well, I am always in favor of us figuring out how to leverage Medicaid funding. Can you speak to why this is a sole source?
The Public Consulting Group is, they offer, as this is a startup for us, and as we are trying to get off the ground and learn more about this program, the Public Consulting Group can actually provide a full scale of services to us, which we're looking for, which one of these days we may be able to scale down, but at this point in time, what we need was a partner that would help us with multiple functions of getting this up and off the ground. And that would include, they provide a cost reporting expertise that we're not yet familiar with in terms of working in this program. They'll provide us a comparative analysis, will identify significant trends in the billing and the financial data. They can offer an online EMS cost reporting system. They also provide some quality control reviews that we're not yet familiar with, and it will ensure compliance with the programmatic regulations. They can also offer comprehensive pre- and post-payment audit support, so to ensure that we're getting our reimbursement that we are entitled to get.
I love all of those things, music to my ears, but why would we do this as a sole source and not an RFP?
Well, to my knowledge, this is the only company that currently offers that full scale. There may be other companies that offer pieces of it, but at this point in time, this is the company we're familiar with that offers this on a full-scale basis. Certainly something we can come back and revisit in a prior year. There is also a sense of urgency. We need to get this up and running so that we can begin July 1. And after we've had an opportunity to work with the program for a year, we would certainly reevaluate whether or not it needs to continue to stay a sole source.
Okay, I would just like to highly encourage us to be using an RFP process for any kind of contract of this size, even if the companies that we can identify are the only ones. That should come out in an RFP process, and I think that's something that generally is good practice. I know you generally agree with that.
Absolutely.
I think if what you're saying is that there's a time urgency on this, and that that's the reason to do the company that we're familiar with, fine. But generally, I think it's better for us to spend those extra couple weeks and be sure that we are being the responsible stewards of the public dollars that we generally are.
Absolutely.
Councilman Batchon.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Chair. Would it be wise for us to possibly put some type of sunlight date on this as it needs to come back for RFP approval or something?
This is it's a one-year contract.
Yeah, so as it's a one-year contract, so January of '26, we've got this before our committee saying, hey, they're going to put out this RFP. Can we approve that RFP goes out, and then the RFP goes out for the next budget cycle, so on?
Are you comfortable with that?
I don't have any concerns with that. I mean, we intend to reevaluate, once we've had an opportunity to work in the program and understand, exactly how it works and understand our needs as well. So we intended to revisit this.
Excellent. Well, let's plan for January of '26 that will, and I think for those of us who are interested in our city's continual leveraging of these resources, we'd love to see the results of this in any case.
Sure.
So we'll plan for January 26. Excellent. Councilwoman Bast.
I noticed that there's a paragraph inserted into the public's contract stating that if it fails in council to appropriate the funds for the payment would come back to our liability if the contract's terminated. Why is that needed if a percentage of it is being received?
Is that in the language of the contract itself? I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
So I'm not, I think, can you read that again?
There's a paragraph, and it's in the public's contract, that states that if the council fails to appropriate the funds for the payment of our liability, the contract is terminated.
Well, that's basically saying if you all don't approve this contract, then we would not, we're not under any obligation to move forward with Public Consulting Group. The contract's terminated. We can't move forward if it's not, if the council doesn't appropriate or doesn't approve the contract.
Okay. I didn't think there was any proposed revenue in the program for the 8% that's in there.
They've estimated we could gain about $2 million is what they're estimating based on, we've provided some data to them up front. They've analyzed that. Obviously, you don't really know until the program gets up and running and you see the reality of it, but based on the data we've shared with them, we believe we could realize a $2 million net gain on this program.
Thank you.
Hoorah. Councilwoman Purvis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Dunn, I wanted to ask, is there a consultant currently fulfilling this role right now?
We've been working with them just from a perspective of providing data to them and then providing us some estimate of what we could, if we entered a contract with them, what they believe we could gain from this contract. So there's no contract in place right now. They've just been a partner with us, helping us evaluate whether or not this would be a good program for us to participate in.
Okay, because I am concerned about it not going out on the market for competitive bids. I believe that is important to save taxpayers' dollars. So that's why I want to know, was another company already fulfilling this role? You're saying that this is the company that you have a relationship with?
It's brand new. So there's not a company that we've been working with prior to this on any sort of program. It's a brand new program to us. This is a company that the state is familiar with, so they work not just, they already are working with several jurisdictions within the state on this program. So that was sort of how we got in contact with this company.
So this is basically a new task?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman, Dr. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you just answered my question about how you located this particular company. Could you give me the name and the owner of this particular company? Is it located here in Louisville?
It's not located in Louisville. I have a contact that I've been working with, but I don't know that they're the owner. So if I could get that information back to you, obviously we have a contact, but I don't believe they're the owner of the company. But I could certainly get that information to you.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I look forward to seeing the results of this. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an item requiring a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
By the unanimous vote of this committee and approval of this committee, it will be sent to the consent calendar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My vote was nay.
Oh, sorry, where's an A? Oh, Dr. McCraney. So I apologize. Then this will be sent to old business with a recommendation for passage.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Dunn, prior to this going to old business, is there any way you can get us information to all of us regarding this contractor?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, go ahead. Could we offer just one more piece of
Absolutely.
Richard Champion, Finance Director, Office of Management and Budget. As Ms. Dunn stated, there was a change in the state law at the end of March. In order to get part of this program for July, all of the information had to be submitted by the end of May to try to get that. The The way the state works is they pull together all of the various ground ambulance providers and bundle them together. And so if you don't get in this year, you have to wait a whole year. That was part of the reason that we went with the company that others were using, other local governments, other ground ambulance providers, to try to get us packaged in with everybody else to get it in for this year. As she stated, we think it's about a $2 million net gain to the city, and so it's not something that we wanted to wait. And so I agree that an RFP is the best practice for taxpayers' dollars. For this scenario, I think we moved at an appropriate speed for this.
Thank you for that clarity. That is helpful. But we would still love that information.
Absolutely.
Before it comes before
Thank
the
you.
full council. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is item number 8. Madam Clerk.
A resolution pursuant to the capital and operating budget ordinances approving the appropriation to fund the following sole source contract for the Louisville Metro Police Department to purchase a Simtech modular tack house modular system, Simtech Modular, Inc., $44,240.08, read in full.
So move.
Moved and seconded. Is there anyone here to speak to this?
Good afternoon. The Simtex modular
Can
system.
you introduce yourself for the record?
I apologize. Officer Nathan Roush, the Louisville Metro Police Department.
Thank you, officer.
This is actually a purchase off of a Department of Homeland Security grant that we were awarded back in, I believe, 2019. Sergeant Eric Culver was originally over it. He retired, and then it became mine. The Simtech modular system, we already own around 2,000 to 2,500 square feet of it. Specifically, it's panels with proprietary brackets that connect everything. And so by sticking with the Simtech system, we can easily move it around, integrate in due to wear and tear, or having to shift resources depending on what and where we're training it.
Any discussion? Councilwoman Purvis.
So I saw this earlier on the agenda. I just wanted to know, what is the purpose? What does this do?
Sure. So the TAC house is one thing, it's honestly one of our most important tools to use for close quarter tactics training, building searches of that nature, whether it be a warrant service, barricade service, hostage rescue, active shooter. And what it allows us to do is work through the fundamentals and principles. The beauty of a modular system is we've had ours now at SWAT for around 4 years, and we can take it down in about 2 hours and rebuild a completely different layout in around 3. So over time, when you get used to the layout and we need a new look at something, it's helpful. Also, where this is going down at the Firearms Training Center, the hope is eventually maybe even expand it to support larger in-service classes. Currently at SWAT, we are supporting all of the CQT training, close quarter tactics training for recruits, other outside agencies even, and specialty units. So this would just allow us a little more room, different space, and for them to train in those things.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilman Batchon.
Yeah, thank you. Nothing bad to say. We just want to say thank you for your service. We appreciate everything you all do. Appreciate the innovation of just being able to have that fluid opportunity to have this modular go up and down in the fast evolving world of the criminals and how they make things so difficult for our LMPD to navigate. So we want them to be trained and ready to do whatever they got to do on the fly. So thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a resolution requiring a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Seeing none, by the unanimous recommendation of this committee, this will be moved on to the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item number 9. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance establishing a development area pursuant to provisions of KRS 65.7041 through 65.7083 to be known as the 700 East Main Street Development Area, designating the Metro Development Authority, Inc. as an agency, adopting a development plan, approving, entering into a local participation agreement, authorizing the payment of the released amount pursuant to the terms and conditions of the local participation agreement, requiring the submission of regular reports to Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government, and authorizing the execution and delivery of any other documents and the taking of any other actions necessary to accomplish the purposes authorized by this ordinance. Read in full.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion and second?
Motion.
So moved and seconded. Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Chair. Jeff O'Brien, Executive Director for Economic Development. This is the 700 East Main Street development area, colloquially known as the Nulu Crossing project. Just so everybody understands, this is a 30-year TIF. This TIF is also, and the TIF ordinance contemplates the developer applying for a state signature TIF, which is why this one is able to go to 30 years versus the standard 20-year. Our split is the standard 80% of the incremental revenues will go to the developer, 20% of the incremental revenues plus the base revenues will come to Louisville Metro government. The Metro cap for this TIF is $39,450,779,100. The cap includes both the ad valorem property tax and the local occupational license tax that will be generated by this development. Currently, the site is generating just over $33,000 in ad valorem tax in terms of the Louisville Metro and Urban Services District tax. In year one after completion, the project is expected to generate $908,095 in ad valorem property tax. There's no occupational license fees that are being generated on the site currently. Just to give a little statistics on this development, it is a $255+ million development. There is 35,000 square feet of commercial space, which includes office and retail. There is a provision in the local participation agreement that prohibits taking existing tenants from the CBD and moving them into the development. There are 535 residential units that are proposed as part of this development. 390 of those units are long-term leases, and they'll be like our normal 12-month lease. There's 135 units that are medium-term leases, and these are meant for traveling executives coming to the area. When we calculated the 10% affordable requirement, and this developer is proposing a 10% affordable component to this development, we put in a floor, so the minimum number of units that will be affordable at all times in this development are 39, so that's 10% of the 390. We have also allowed that number can go up upon an annual evaluation for the medium-term rental. So if those go up, then they have to provide 10% of the units that are being rented on a long-term basis. The affordability component, like I said, is 10% of the long-term units are affordable to those making up to 80% of the area median income. In addition, the developer is providing a parking garage as a component of this development. It will be buried on the south side of this project. Again, the project's on East Main Street and Shelby Street, so the prominent, a lot of people know this site as the service tank site. The parking garage will be buried on the south side of that site, so you will not see it from Main Street. It'll contain 570 spaces. The majority of those spaces will be available to the public. So we know Nulu and that part of the community could use some public parking. In addition to that, there is a community benefits agreement with the Nulu Business Association that requires a contribution of $25,000 from the developer to the business association, and they've been working with the Nulu Business Association on that. The zoning and design for this site have already been approved by the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Adjustment, and the Nulu Review Overlay District. As I mentioned, they are requesting a signature TIF, so there are some minimum spend thresholds that they have to hit before they get any reimbursement. And just one more, this is for everybody as a reminder, that TIF payment, that TIF cap is a cap. It is not a guarantee. That is the maximum that they can get from the local TIF, and it requires that they hit their performance metrics in terms of jobs created, payroll, and the valuation of the property. The taxes are reimbursed on an annual basis once they prove that they've met their expenditure thresholds and have paid their tax bill. So it's not upfront cash. This is on a reimbursement basis. As I failed to mention this, the total public infrastructure cost for this development is $75.2 million. So again, our cap is just under $40 million, and the total public infrastructure spend, including the parking garage, is $75.2 million. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Chair, I will just note that this is a local development company and a local entrepreneur that is taking this on, so I want to make sure I made that clear here.
Duly noted.
Happy to answer any questions the council members.
Duly noted and appreciated for all those watching at home. Can you speak for just a second to what's currently on the site?
Yeah, nothing is on the site. There is a vacant building at the, on the south, I'm sorry, on the northwest side of the site.
Thank you. Councilman Owen.
Thank you, Chair. So remind us, because even I have forgotten exactly how this works, and I deal with this stuff a lot, the signature TIF at the state. If we approve the local TIF, it's not is it dependent upon the TIF at the state being approved, or are they connected in any way?
Yeah, there is a connection to the TIF. So they're required to get a state TIF under this legislation. So if they are not able to get that state TIF, we'll have to come back and amend the legislation. And again, 3 things on the signature TIF. So there is to apply for a state signature TIF, there is a minimum investment threshold of $200 million. So again, this development is hitting that threshold at $255 million. There is also a minimum spend, and I'm going to look over to County Attorney Laura Fergus on this, but I believe the minimum spend before they can recapture is $50 million in our ordinance. Is it's 200? So yeah, they have to hit a minimum spend threshold before they can start getting reimbursements from us.
And so if it goes to the state and it's denied, then it comes back in front of us, and
Yes.
we do it a little bit differently.
Correct.
It comes back in front of us.
Yeah, they'll likely want to make some amendments to the project. We'll certainly want to make some amendments to the reimbursement on the minimum spend.
And then it's also my memory that, and I think it's funny that this is a requirement. Before they can apply to the state, though, we have to approve our TIF first.
That's correct.
We
And not
can't
only-
even get they don't even say, well, we're leaning toward doing it or not, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we've had preliminary conversations with the state, but in order to get a read from KEDFA, we have to not only be approved by Metro Council, but there also has to be the approval from the Metropolitan Development Authority, which is the agency that is referenced in the title of the ordinance. So that we have to be fully approved. And then again, Louisville Metro Government is the applicant for any state TIF program, so that those payments the state payments come to us, and then we are the pass-through, and we'll provide those payments to the developer.
I mean, Chair, if I could, is anybody, well, I'll wait and get back in the queue.
Councilman Batchon.
Thank you, Jeff. I think this is obviously a great development, and I think, Louisville Metro's goals of smart urban growth is key, especially with the expansion of 520-something or 30-something apartments. My question, I think, is, can this pencil without the TIF if state doesn't approve?
No, so if this is all TIFs, both local and state, have a but-for clause. So if they are not able to get either the local TIF or the state TIF, the project will change dramatically, and they'll likely not be able to complete the project.
Thank you. I just urge our colleagues to look at this, and we talk about mixed-use development and growth in downtown and density. I think this is a great opportunity for us to put that, foot forward and making that happen and move forward in what our city can grow to.
Thank you, sir. I sponsored this ordinance and happy to do so. I believe, and as I said in the committee meeting the other day, that I believe in using public funds to leverage private investment in a thoughtful, targeted way, even in a so-called successful neighborhood such as this, if it brings something special to the table. There are lots of amenities in this project that are attractive, but the most attractive, the star of the show for me, is the garage. In order to achieve long-term success, having predictable adjacent parking there is essential, and I hope that this is not the last one. If you're familiar with High Street, the Short North in Columbus, Ohio, it's a linear street. This is different from that, but they have predictable parking. Every 3 or 4 blocks, they have a garage just off the main drag, so that when you go there, you know that you don't have to rely upon happening across a public space on the street. You know that you can go there and have a predictable place to park, and that also keeps the the patrons of that street close to where they need to be and keeps the pressure off the adjoining neighborhoods, in this case, Butchertown and Phoenix Hill. So if we can have this be the first of hopefully several down there, that will help concentrate the development and provide that predictable parking that is so essential to long-term growth. It's doing well now, but for the long-term growth, I think that's really important.
As somebody who walked 3 blocks today and was late to a meeting in Nulu because I couldn't find parking directly in the street, you were speaking my language.
Yes.
Councilman Owen.
Thank you, Chair. So anybody that's heard me speak on housing and development issues knows that this development checks many, many, many boxes for me. I also want to remind people that one of the things I like about TIFs is that they are performance-based incentives. And we have a number of TIFs that we have approved that the developer never got any of the money that they could get from the TIF because they didn't achieve the goals that they had agreed to achieve. And so if the development doesn't perform, the money doesn't appear, right? And so that is a performance-based incentive, which I think is a great way to do it. Similar to what Councilman Herndon was saying, you know, there are Nulu, depending on how you look at Nulu, I certainly think it's been a great success from where it came from. And I would be hesitant to use a TIF on some types of projects. But this project, let me just check off a few things. 1, it's a mixed-use project. 2, it has a lot of housing units. It has an affordability component. It has a parking garage that's there to provide parking, but it's also basically hidden, which is great. It's wrapped, which is a really nice thing. And there's significant density and significant height. And both of those, all of those things are things that in our Planning and Zoning Committee, we talk about incessantly as things that we're encouraging developers to do. And so this is exactly, as Councilman Batchon said, the type of project that we need more of, both in Nulu and in downtown. Anybody that's listening, please bring us more of these types of projects. But I will be happy to support this with a TIF and look forward to the state supporting it as well. Thank you.
I want to say one thing to confirm that, yes, our minimum spend threshold here is $200 million locally. What we do, just to remind everybody on processes, if they don't hit that minimum spend threshold right away, that builds up over time, we take those reimbursements and hold them in escrow accounts and then release them upon the time they hit that spend threshold. And then Councilman Owen hit on a very good point that I wrote myself a note and forgot to make during my presentation. Some of you may remember that this site was approved for a TIF in 2017. That TIF has expired. You have 4 years to activate a TIF upon approval. If you don't activate, it automatically goes away. So some out there might be wondering, wait, didn't we approve a TIF for this already? We did. That TIF expired in 2021. The original developer did not activate, and Mr. Camposano and his project, they're going to activate that one, I'm confident.
Councilwoman, Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do like the whole package and the idea of the different uses for this particular project. But I have seen these projects have written in the small language that after so many years, the affordable housing component goes away. So can you speak to that and let me know if there is some type of provision like that does away with the affordable units that are proposed today?
Yeah, so all of our agreements for this will run for 30 years. So 30 years upon activation, they will have an affordability component. We will be monitoring them for compliance, both economic development, our Office of Housing and Community Development, OMB, monitor all of our TIF projects for compliance. After that 30-year period, they're no longer under any monitoring, so there might be an erosion of the affordability component. I will say that in most cases, even when you look at a low-income housing tax credit deal, those periods of affordability range from 15 to 30 years. So that's not atypical for affordability components to go for for 15 to 30 years. So in this case, we'll get 10 more years than we would in a normal TIF, assuming that the state approves. Sometimes developers will come back for recapitalization and have additional requests. At that time, we can re-up those. For the purposes of this, we assume that the affordability will run with the land for 30 years.
Any further discussion? All right. Colleagues, thank you so much. I just want to commend our colleagues at Economic Development and the developer here. So many of the things that have made some of these hard to approve in the past, you guys preemptively addressed, and I'm just really grateful to you for that. We want to be a city that is easy to develop in, so any proto-baby developers out there who are looking to do stuff downtown and in Nulu, this is stuff that we can get done. So thank you guys so much, appreciate it. This is an item that requires a roll call vote, if you will.
Voting is open. Councilwoman McCraney?
Yes.
All right. Voting is closed.
Chair Rena Weber, you have 8 yes votes.
We have 8 yes votes, and we will be recommending this to the full council on the consent calendar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of Labor and Economic Development. We look forward to seeing you for future episodes.